The hospital room was quiet, bathed in a soft morning light, when Loretta Swit opened her eyes for the final time. For the past few months, her health had been rapidly declining, yet she met every day with the grace, fire, and humor that had defined her life and career. And on that day in March 2025, with her closest friend Tom, a longtime MASH crew member, sitting beside her, she whispered a name. Not her own. Not her family's. But the name of someone she had once worked with decades ago. Mike. Those who knew Loretta best understood what that meant. She was not just remembering, she was honoring. That one word was more than nostalgia. It was the culmination of a promise she made in secret long ago, a vow to a dying cast member that she never spoke about publicly. And what happened in the final weeks of her life proved that she had not only remembered the promise, but fulfilled it in ways that left the entire MASH family in tears. Loretta Swit was more than just Major Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan. She was the heartbeat of MAS*H behind the scenes, a woman who kept every card, every letter, every silly behind-the-scenes Polaroid taken in between takes. For nearly 5 decades she had kept a folder tucked away in the back of her closet labeled simply, "The Swamp." In it were photos from rap parties, handwritten letters from Larry Linville, secret notes passed between her and Alan Alda during filming, and even a cassette tape from Harry Morgan thanking her for something she never told anyone about. This wasn't memorabilia. It was a living history, and it told the story of friendships that went far beyond the screen. What most fans never knew was that Loretta was often the emotional anchor for the cast. She was the one who got the first phone call when Wayne Rogers left the show. She was the one who helped David Ogden Stiers when he suffered a personal loss during the 1980s. And in 2000, when McLean Stevenson passed away unexpectedly, it was Loretta who traveled alone to his hometown just to place a white lily on his grave, because she remembered him saying once, "If I go first, give me something simple, something elegant." But the story that truly shaped her final years began in 2011. It was during a quiet lunch at a small cafe in Pasadena, where Loretta met up with William Christopher, who played Father Mulcahy. Bill had been sick but refused to talk about it. Loretta, ever perceptive, knew something was wrong. During that lunch, Bill told her something that would change her forever. "If anything ever happens to me," he said softly, "don't let the spirit of MASH fade. Don't let it become just another old show that people forget. Promise me you'll keep us together somehow. Not in reruns, but in meaning." That promise would live with her until her last breath. And the way she kept it was nothing short of extraordinary. In 2014, Loretta began work on a private project she didn't tell anyone about, not even Alan Alda or Mike Farrell. It was called The Swamp Letters, a collection of unpublished memoirs, voice recordings, and messages exchanged among the cast over the years. She tracked down everyone she could, including crew members who had disappeared into quiet retirements, and makeup artists who had long since moved to other industries. She wanted to document what MASH meant, not just as a television show, but as a family that helped one another through divorce, cancer, addiction, grief, and fame. Loretta invested her own money to digitize old tapes and hired a former UCLA archivist to help restore fading photos and water-damaged letters. The result? A 2,000-page manuscript that was never meant for public release. She called it a living memorial. But that wasn't all. In 2018, Loretta created a scholarship fund in the names of her co-stars who had passed. It started with McLean, then Larry Linville, then Harry Morgan, and William Christopher. Each scholarship was quietly awarded to students pursuing careers in humanitarian work, social justice, or veteran affairs, fields deeply connected to the themes of MASH. The catch? She never wanted her name on it. Each scholarship simply read, "From a friend of the swamp." And then came the final chapter of her journey, the one she hadn't told even her closest companions. In 2023, her health began to fade rapidly. She was diagnosed with a rare autoimmune disorder that she kept private from the media. She told only 3 people, her doctor, her niece, and her longtime friend Tom. That year, Knowing time was slipping away, she made one final push to fulfill the promise she had made to Bill Christopher. She organized a virtual reunion, not for the public, not for press, but for the cast, crew, and families of those who were no longer here. Invitations were sent through private phone calls. Alan Alda, now using a voice amplifier, agreed instantly. Mike Farrell called it the greatest invitation of my life. The reunion was held on March 1, 2024. Hosted via a secure private server, it included archival clips, unseen behind-the-scenes footage, and voice messages Loretta had collected over the years. But the moment that left everyone speechless was when she played a video she had recorded 2 weeks earlier. In it, Loretta, wearing a navy blue sweater and sitting beside the fireplace in her home, said, "If you're seeing this, then I've gone quiet for a reason. Not because I gave up, but because I gave all I had to give. And this? This is me keeping a promise. Not just to Bill, but to every one of you who stood in that 4077th with me. You made me a better person. You made my life something extraordinary. So if you ever wonder what we were, let this night be your answer: we were love." When the video ended, there was silence. Some cried. Some laughed. Some just sat there, holding their memories like treasures. Loretta Swit passed away quietly 10 days later. And on the day of her memorial, a letter was read aloud to the room, one she had written herself just a week before her death. "I've kept every promise I made. Even the ones whispered when no one else could hear. Let them say we were actors. Let them say we were a show. But most of all, let them say we were real." Her ashes were scattered at a private location she had requested in advance, a hillside in Malibu where she and Harry Morgan once shared a bottle of wine after a long day of shooting. A small plaque was placed nearby. It reads, "The swamp lives here." In the months following her passing, Alan Alda published a brief essay titled, "Loretta's Quiet Flame," in which he recounted the way she once comforted him during a particularly hard shoot in Korea, how she always had extra socks for the crew when filming dragged into the night, and how, when his own brother died, she sent a letter with just 4 words. "I'm standing with you." Mike Farrell released a statement through his daughter saying, "Loretta didn't just keep a promise. She kept a world alive. And that world, the one shaped by humor and heartbreak and the shared experience of a TV show that became so much more, continues to ripple forward. Today, a version of her manuscript, The Swamp Letters, is being curated for a museum exhibit on American television history. The scholarship fund she began has already helped 23 students complete degrees in social work and peace studies. And every year on March 1st, the date of that final reunion, her niece lights a candle at the fireplace where Loretta recorded her goodbye. Fans still leave flowers outside her former New York apartment. Notes are tucked under the door, most of them addressed to Hot Lips. But every once in a while, one reads, "From a friend of the swamp." And that, perhaps, is the legacy Loretta Swit leaves behind, a legacy not of fame or flash, but of commitment, friendship, and promises kept long after the cameras stopped rolling. So if you're watching this, if you've made it to the end of this story, remember, Loretta's final act wasn't her performance. It was her promise. And she kept it. Always.